First met Dr. Watterson many years ago uh, as a practicing orthodontist in Chelsea. I went to Jackson, and of course, I would talk with dentists in all different areas, but in Jackson, and encourage them to send patients to my practice. That's how I met Dr. Watterson.
I had no idea who he was. He practiced in Chelsea, and so we had lunch together and had a chance to meet and talk about his philosophy and what his approach was to orthodontics, and what my desires were and what I was looking for a result for my patients. And it was a match made in heaven from then on. So I found very quickly the impact of Dr. Howe's work, the way he treated patients, the way he related with both parents and the child, and just how much that coincided with the way I wanted my patients, my family to be treated. And it wasn't long after that that my own kids began their orthodontic journey. And I surely was convinced that because of our oldest, who at the time was very small skeletally and had very large permanent teeth, I thought for sure that he was going to need to have teeth removed. And this whole process that Dr. Howe introduced me to was just phenomenal and really answered questions for me, and got me excited about what the results can be for someone that has either extreme crowding or seems to be petite and has larger teeth. And so the process, the philosophy of treatment really melded and blended well with what it was that I was looking for. And then to see my own kids go through it just solidified for me the importance of this type of orthodontic treatment. I had asked Dr. Howe to consider starting a satellite practice in Jackson, just to bring his talent and skill to Jackson, to our community, so that we could have that experience for other people locally.
He said, won't you come to Jackson? Won't you open a practice here? Won't you teach me what you do? And I had, at that point, this was before I retired from my full-time practices. At that point, I had 3 practices, one in Saline, one in Dexter, and one in Chelsea. And I was running full-time and didn't have the energy that I had when I was younger. And the thought of really doing another practice or taking on and teaching was a little overwhelming. And so I didn't take him up on that. When it came time for his own children, he said, there's no question who's going to treat them. I want you, me, Dr. Howe, to treat them. And so I saw his children and indeed began treating them. And also he said, I have a couple, a niece and a nephew who really you should be treating them too. And then later he said, my father, who's a dentist, really needs some help. He's missing a couple of side teeth beside his front teeth. And I'd really like you to treat him too. So I've treated a lot of the Watterson family over the years. And as our relationship deepened, and as I backed away from my practice, actually retired from my full-time practice, Dr. Watterson invited me to lunch again, and he said, wouldn't you do it now? I mean, would you come and let's form a partnership? You can mentor me, and it's a way for you to stay involved beyond what I had thought was going to be my retirement. And so I thought about it, and I didn't make a decision right away. I was, maybe a year went by. I enjoyed all my free time. I didn't have to go to work. It was wonderful. And as that year wore on, I began to miss it. I began to miss patients. I began to miss him. And so we had another lunch, and I said, I really would like to be involved. I don't want to run the practice. I don't want to hire and manage and those things, but I'd love to teach. I'd love to see patients. I'd love to pass on this knowledge and skill and expertise that I have. And Dr. Watterson said, that's exactly what I'm interested in. So we said, well, let's give it a whirl. So we have, and we haven't looked back.
So when I received the letter that Dr. Howe was retiring, it really kind of, I don't want to say put me in a tailspin, but it really left me in a lurch as far as who was going to take care of my patients orthodontically the way that I knew he had for all these years. And so for several months, I was beginning to pursue a lot of continuing education on my own, beyond what I already had been doing for the last 10 to 15 years. And 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 so after several months of that, and really finding myself enjoying this, I called Dr. Howe and we had a conversation. I just mentioned it to him. I brought it up to him and just said, hey, what do you think about starting this practice, starting an orthodontic practice with me, and just doing it from scratch? And initially he was a little hesitant. He was enjoying retirement, but it wasn't long after that that he realized how um, much he needed that interaction and that activity with his hands, and how much he had missed patients. So it took quite a while for us to get all the logistics ironed out and figured out, but ultimately we were able to come up with modern orthodontics and begin this practice, and we're just thrilled to be able to offer this option for people in the Jackson area.